contribute 60% to your application. So if you have good research, you have a very high chance of acceptance. So while applying, if you have done research, please try to answer these questions. Okay, how many citations they have their published paper? Okay, basically, how many citations do you have in your paper that is published? You should answer that. This is for the application part, all right? When you are applying, you should, if you have answers to these three questions, then it will definitely increase your chance of being selected to the fund. So if you have answers to this, please prioritize on this rather than anything else. So how many citations they have in their published paper? Impact factor of the journal that accepted their paper. Okay, impact factor is basically like how impactful your journal is basically. So higher the impact factor, higher your chances, it makes you good student, and higher your chances of getting selected. And number of Google Scholar citations that the letter writer has. Okay, so if the letter writer here is the person who is writing your letter of recommendation, if he has more number of citations, just like Eamon said, professors in US will think him as more credible. Okay, because if he has a number of citations, that means he is an expert in the field. So if you have a letter of recommendation from someone who is an expert, it will definitely increase your chances. So good answers to these three questions will surely increase your chances of getting accepted for the fund. Okay, also if you have received response from journals, okay, some in this year we have found that people had submitted their journals but they were not published yet. If you're in a similar situation, then also we can consider that. So if you have a received positive response from journals, do mention that too. And if your research is published in the journal, please mention the type of journal as well. Just like Eamon said, there are three categories, I would say: A, B, and C, or Q1, Q2, Q3. So if your research is published in some of these journals, please mention which type of journal it is published, and if possible, also mention the importance factor. All right. And after that, yeah, okay, so we have another. So now it will be, I think, yeah. Okay, so apart from research, okay, because not everyone can have research. Okay, it's a bit hard sometimes depending on the field. So apart from research, here are some things that can help you, get selected for the fund, or maybe get selected in the US as well. Let's say for the fund. Okay, so Olympiads or participation in some international competitions. So there were some people that had like received grant for applying competing in international competitions. They, some had also won in some international competitions. So if you have that, it makes your profile very good. So please, if you have that, put it there, and it will surely increase your chances of being selected. GPA, okay, just like Eamon mentioned, GPA does not count that much as research. But if you have a GPA that is like outstanding, basically if you were in the top 1% of your university, then yeah, mentioning GPA in that case would be good. And apart from that, positive feedback from professors. Okay, this is also very important. So while emailing professors, like Eamon said, while cold emailing professors, if some professors have given you very positive response, okay, like, yeah, you can apply for this, you can include my name in your reference, and we can schedule a call. So these are positive responses. Like the professor might be interested to accept you as a research assistant. So if you have positive email exchanges with any of the professors for university or applying abroad, please include that in your application as well. And moving forward, a good letter of recommendation from the professor, or good in the sense, the similar, again the same thing, the profile of the professor. Okay, how good, if you have select the best professor that there is, so that you can increase your chances. And again, scholarships, like Didi mentioned, you have everyone here is a scholarship student, so yeah, that's a plus point. Again, it's not compulsory, but scholarship shows that you are a top student. Also, while mentioning scholarship, everyone tells that you should like include how hard was it to get the scholarship. Like for example, if I know about IOE, so I'll tell about IOE. Okay, so for IOE we have like 15,000 people, and I don't know, like maybe 200 only get scholarships. So you can include those ratios, like only top 1 percentile get like scholarships. And if you include that, that will also increase your chances, because it will show that you are among the top students from Nepal. All right. So again, moving to the sixth point, exceptional awards and grants. So if you have won something, like just recently, I've been talks with the senior. He's a chemical engineering student. He's currently in his fourth year, and he has already received a grant for, like, I don't know, $2,000 to do research on his field. Okay, so if you have achieved something like that, that will also surely increase your chances. So please mention that as well. And last point is GRE. Again, not a very decisive factor, but a good GRE score, especially quant, over 165 in quant, shows that you are a top student in your field. So that's good to have as well. But yeah, that is not very important. And yeah, so this is more about the application. So basically, you will send application. We will shortlist candidates, If you are shortlisted, you will be called for an interview where they will ask you direct questions about your profile, about your like future plans, universities, etc. And if they think you have a good chance of applying, they will accept you for the fund. And if you are accepted for the fund, they will help you with application fees of applying to minimum like 6 to 8 universities, application fees, GRE fees, TOEFL fees, and anything else. They can also help you with like suggestions for your resume, suggestions for your SOP, and everything else that's included. So if you are selected, you will get as much help as we can deliver. And I hope it's clear now. If there's any question, I'll take them as well. So yeah, okay, some things to be careful about. This is a section which I have written from my experience of whatever I have learned from working for the fund. So first point is resume length. Okay, like Eamon tells me, like ideal length is 2 pages. If you have something more, take it to 3 pages, but don't make it higher than 3 pages, because that will be very long for the professor to read and find out what is there in it. So please try to keep your resume up to 2 pages or 3 pages max. Don't go beyond this. Okay. Second point is research and publications. Yeah, please clearly mention the present state of research in your application. Okay. Some people only mention like research and that's it. Okay. So you must mention if the is the research published, or is it under publication, or is it's not published but has been accepted to the journal and stuff like that. Yeah. And on other research collaborators also, this is also very important. So what we have seen this year is people have only included their names in the research collaborator section. Okay, it should not be like that. It should mention everyone that is involved in the research. For example, if I, Neetu Didi and Aman were doing research, I cannot include only my name in the research collaborator section. Okay, I have to include all the three names. So if you are applying, so please make sure that you mention names of everyone that was involved in your research. And yeah, that's it for now. For now, we have a group. If someone needs support, they can email me or DM me. I can pass the link. In the group, I have shared some profile of the people that were selected for the fund to give you a better idea of how it works. And also there are screenshots as proofs for people that have received assistance from the fund. Currently in the group we have around like 160 members. So if you are interested to join, you can ping me anytime and I'll pass you the link for the group. Maybe I can include this right here as well. Just a minute.
Yeah, please share it here.
So any other questions regarding the fund? Happy to answer that.
छ कसैलाई केही क्वेसन छ फन्डको बारेमा, कसरी लिने, कसरी अप्लाई गर्ने, केही छ अरू? I think we don't have any questions now. आयुष अरू सिधै तिम्रो अरू छ?
Yeah, that's about it, I guess.
So any questions students have for Dr. Amon? केही questions छ? Any questions you have? Yeah, Dr. Sangeeta, please.
Hi, Dr. Niti. Hi, Dr. Ammon. This is Dr. Sonikta. So, I was like asked by, I'm a facilitator in Madan Bhandari, and I was asked by students like, could you give an outlook about immigrant-friendly universities there in America? And like some of the questions were like some students they do pay pay for the personal statement. So from what I heard, is it worth paying that amount? Like people we pay, so I have students who are like who pay around $100 for a personal statement. So is it worth paying that much
You mean paying 100
for
US dollars for someone to edit their personal statement?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I mean, there are professionals who write down personal statements, and there are students paying these amounts to those professionals. And is it worth paying that much?
Yeah. So regarding paying for personal statement, I like say I personally, I paid for someone to edit my personal statement in the US, and $100 is about how much I pay in US dollars. I would think in Nepal standard, I maybe paying 20 US dollars makes sense. I think $100 might be a little bit much, if you're at least, you might want to apply it for another school instead of paying that much to to edit your personal statement, because there's really cheap options to go with that, right? Like I mentioned on Reddit or on that Discord, really some people are just happy to freely reveal your personal statement. I mean, you don't need like a the thing about the personal statement is you're not trying to get it with perfect grammar. That's not the point. The point is you're trying to get information to be concise and easily scannable on your personal statement. And really, like a lot of people in the field are just happy to help you edit your statement. So yeah, if you want to get your personal statement well, go to ask me or I use for the Discord, and you can just join there and ask people to help you. um, and like I said, personal statement only counts for like less than 5% of your application. So however good you make, it's not going to change much if your CV isn't good. Um, so that's first. And then second, regarding kind of immigration friendly university. So I want to make it clear that there's no specifically immigration friendly university. Like the universities don't get involved in the immigration. Basically, if you have studied in the US in a master's or PhD program, well, let's first talk about master. If you have studied in the US in a master's program, you automatically get 1 year of working visa in the US. If you have studied in a STEM major in a master's in the US, you automatically get 3 years of working in the US, 3 years of visa of working in the US. Okay. And then, if you've done a PhD, generally, like if you have done a PhD in US, you have pretty good chance of being able to get a permanent working visa in the US to work in the US for, for a longer term. Okay, so and then universities, I mean, they just take the best candidates, right? You can look at their current students to see what students are admitted to the school. If that school has a lot of international current students, that's a good sign. I mean, most schools do. Most schools have, say, half of their current students coming from outside of US. So as long as you are the top candidates among the applicants, you have a good chance of getting admitted to those schools. I would just say in your search for schools, it makes sense to look out for those that offers um, scholarship, like those that are funded, right? Those that offers RA ship or TA ship, right? Because if you have to pay for the tuition in the US for master's program, we're looking at like $20,000 USD a year, which is not affordable for someone coming from Nepal. But there are lots of programs. I shouldn't say lots of programs. There are programs that are funded that will waive your tuition fee, that will provide you a stipend every year. Stipend usually ranges from um, $15,000 to $25,000 a year USD, right? So that stipend is more than enough for you to live in the US. So you don't have to pay any money out of pocket. And that's the main purpose of the fund, for students who are capable, who really have a good chance of getting admitted to the US. I mean, we help them with application fee. And then once they got to US, they will have the stipend. They don't have to pay tuition. They can survive on their own, they can progress their career on their own, right? So yeah, that's my comments. Any other, does it make sense?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, Dr. Sangeeta.
Thank you, Dr. Ammon. And lastly, I wanted to ask about the publications. I mean, like, uh, our students, like, what do you say, like, does quantity matter? Because, like, to go, as students, sometimes we tend to choose the easier pathway and choose for Nepali journals to be published in. So, does quantity matter? I mean, quantity, how much does it matter?
I would always go with quality, like I know, yeah, with basically publication in the poly journals counts very little because um yeah, because US professors simply don't value them, right? So I would go for one, maybe not even publication. I would go for one project where you can work with a US professor over like over 3 or 4 published paper in a poly journal that has a low impact factor. Right. So really go for quality if you want to come to the US.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ammon. Any other questions? Like, I think the major question that I faced was regarding the finances only, and a lot of it is solved if you really think through. Because if you have good enough CV, like if you worked in a good research and all, your GRE can be funded, your TOEFL can be funded, your application fees can be funded. You just have to work out. I think, despite all we talk about, I think it's again on the student to bring out the quality work, focus on what matters, and not get involved in too many trivial things. Sano sano kurama that not to get involved in too many trivial things. Focus on what matters, and the time is very important because time does not wait for anyone. Okay. Saying that, any more questions? Gunesh, you have any question?
No, I think all are cleared.
Okay.
Okay, I will mention one more thing. If you do plan on applying to the US for graduate school, like I mentioned, you want to find a mentor early on. And also if you're interested in this fund, you want to reach out early to Ayush, and you can ask him to help review your profile early on, tell you what you might need, what might be helpful for you, so that you have like a year or 2 years to kind of polish your profile. um, um, so yeah, reach out to people early on instead of later.
Yeah, and it's very important, I think, to put it also. Right now is the perfect time because once you start working somewhere, you do not have that IRC that you get for the research because us medical students, we need institutional clearance. You have IRC at your institution, you have research funded, you have research courses from the first year, right? So you have faculty over there. So this is the very prime time for you to work on writing papers and research. Okay. After you go and start working somewhere, you just get lost in it. So right now is a very important time, and it's very important that students start making their CV today and start updating it. Okay. Mm, any more questions, Kate, or questions? If not, we'll end today's.
One question I had.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Uh, yeah, one question I wanted to ask that regarding CVs. Is that also there that CVs are selected using ATS because some companies and some college universities might be accepting CVs which use ATS, means a computerized based CV selection process.
I'm not Can you expound more? What do you mean by ATS?
Using
Yeah,
AI for
ATS is a computerized ATS. It is a computerized CV selection procedure. Means a person does not see the CV directly. It is automatically seen by some computer system. ATS friendly CVs are generally very neat and clean, very simple. Actually, what my CV was in the beginning, it was made using Canva, so it was really means trendy looking and something like that. So it does
Oh,
not
okay,
work well.
okay. Yes, yes, yes. You don't want any trendy CVs. You want it to be plain and simple. There
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
be colors in the CV, and there
Okay,
shouldn't
okay,
be logos or symbols like
okay. Logos. Okay, okay. Yeah, that I have to improve that.
What
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
photo?
So
What about photo?
don't use any like of these fancy programs. Just use Microsoft Word, and you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mm.
Okay. Thank you.
because I think his main question was even like here sometimes in India, what companies do is the recruiter won't directly look at your CV, all right? If you pass only CVs that have been passed through that AI will be there. Like they will set some keywords to look after in the CV. Then that AI will scrape your CV and look for those keywords. If your
Uh,
keywords
uh,
are there, then only they will review the CV. So I think his question was that.
I see. I see. The admission committees in US don't use fancy programs like that. It's more like, in general, I think like how some programs would evaluate a series. Say someone is applying for economics PhD. They get a pile of like what 800 or 500 CVs, right? um, someone from the admin kind of staff would scan through it, basically separate the CVs into two pile. One pile is like, CVs that comes from a reputable university in the US with a good GPA and da da da. And then we have like another pile that has like the CVs that come from universities that they doesn't know, which often even the top university in Nepal would be in that pile of CV that they don't know. And then, if someone has a low GPA or don't have any research, they immediately throw out the application. They immediately throw out the CV, you know. So they scan for like good GPA and research in that CV. And then maybe from that pile, what, like 20-30% of them would actually go to a graduate student in that department, where the graduate student would actually look at the CV and see, is this journal publication like actually good? Is did they get any good scholarship or like achievement? So yeah, I mean it's not computerized, but you see why like it is important to have like good clear information on your CV, because otherwise it gets throws out pretty quickly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Ammon, for your time, since we don't have any more questions. And thanks a lot, Ayush, for joining in, and all the students for joining in today. If you have any questions regarding even after that, you can email me or Ayush or anyone. We're always there to help. Okay. So if there's no any questions, I think it's time to end the webinar, because I think I think we really engaged in the conversation today. It was very nice. Ammon, you want to end up with something?
No, uh, wish you all the best in your application and in your school. Take
Mm,
care.
thank you. Ayush?
Yeah, thanks for having me and all the best. If there's anything that you need help with, yeah, you can just ping me on Facebook, email, or whatever. I'll be there.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Good night, everyone.